In this video, we're supercharging my Lexus IS350. So hello everybody, welcome back to Marty Motoring. It's a nice warm August day here in Pennsylvania, and we're going to start the process of supercharging my Lexus IS350. I got the kit from RR Racing a couple weeks ago, and I've been preparing for this moment. So today we're going to start it and see what all it entails. We're here at the Hammerdown Motorsports shop. It's been in a couple of my previous videos. Big thanks to Steve for lending me the lift and tools to be able to do this. So let's show you what's in the kit, and then we can get this lifted in the air and start the process. All right, so we're here in the shop, and I have a little bit of a setup going here. We have my just cheap Windows computer. I mean, you don't need anything crazy, but it helps to have the digital instructions, as well as for the tuner, which I'll show you in a second, you need to download some files and use a Windows laptop. So we got that set up. We have some other wiring parts for the port injection that we'll have to do, as well as everything else in the kit. So this kit is pretty extensive. It's like there's a lot of pieces that go into this, a lot of piping. You have the intercooler, the actual supercharger, which is more of a turbo design. We have the blow-off valve, hopefully everything we need. And there's a lot of custom pieces from RR Racing. We have titanium wrap for the header, and this is the My Genius from 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗪𝗪. Sport. That's what we're going to use to tune the car. Now this car already has the RR Racing tune, but we're going to need a new tune for the supercharger once we want to do our initial startup. So let's get this up in the air and get started. So I'm pretty sweaty and dirty already, and we just got started. So this is going to be a fun process. So now we got the car up on the lift safely, and we can start taking off the front bumper. So we have the bumper off. I sat it on this chair. We have to take off the washer sprayer system. Now a bunch of fluid is going to come out when we unplug this. So what I will do is take just one of the screws from the bumper, wrap it in some rag, and just try to plug this. So that's plugged. That's just an easy way to do it for now. So we got the bumper off. I'm gonna take the headlights off because I'm actually having them re-clear coated by a friend of mine. So you don't have to take those off, but I'm going to just for this process, and it'll make it a little bit clearer and cleaner and give us some more room to work with. So the next step is to remove this bumper beam. So before we remove the bumper beam, we have to unplug the battery just for safety, so the airbags or whatever don't go off. Because we're going to be touching this area, we just don't want anything to happen. So I have my horns here and my little underglow wire, but what I'm going to have to do is actually remove this. Breaking clips. Okay, so it looks like the intercooler is going to be set up like this. Find the bolt. There was no existing bolt, but that's where the intercooler is going to mount. We did turn the horns around also. That was a little weird, but it provides more clearance. I'll line the intercooler up. I don't know if I should be using the bottom or top, but we're going to do the bottom. Okay, so we have the intercooler bolted up. I have the headlights out. There's an area I need to cut here, so I'm taking the stock airbox out.
Since there's going to be charge piping in this area, I needed to take out the factory airbox. You can see the blue F Sport filter as well as the F Sport box. I took out the front ducting as well as the passenger side brake ducting.
So now that we've removed the brake duct, the charge piping will be able to go in that area, and we can cut this.
Next, we needed to cut a triangle out of the metal so the charge piping could fit through that area. Big thanks to Steve, who owns this personal shop and lent me all these tools. For cutting, he was just a lot better with the metalworking than I am.
And here it is, all cleaned up after cutting it. And just to protect the metal so it doesn't rust, the raw edge there, just painting it black.
We're doing a little factory match here, so it looks like this was done at the factory.
Yeah.
We got blue overspray here, we got black overspray there, so I'm just doing a nice blend and we'll be good to go.
And there we go. So I've unwrapped more of the charge piping and connectors and some other stuff too. We're gonna install this next. I just kind of wanted to show you all the pieces involved. There is a good amount. Got this together, just trying to see how it's all gonna fit.
And now comes the fun part, putting all of the intercooler charge piping together. Now this part is a little tedious. You're just moving pieces around, seeing what fits where, adjusting and repeating. But once it all goes together, and it goes together pretty well, it looks pretty decent.
All right, so here's the progress we made so far. We got some of the piping on there. Of course, we're gonna have to go back and kind of tighten these and adjust them as needed. This one kind of goes up through here with a 45, and this will go to the blow-off valve and to the intake manifold. And then we're gonna have stuff coming from the supercharger. There's a lot of like looking at pictures and trying to figure out things where they go. And I do have contact with RR Racing. So far, it's going together well. It's just taking a little bit of time. So here on the computer, you can see there's an intercooler. I have the piping all set up like that. And then there's this oil cooler with lines going that way. Well, I got this. This didn't come with any kind of brackets. It did come with 2 bolts. So I assume you just drill that right into the plastic. So we're gonna try that. I've been staring at this for a little bit. I think it's supposed to go like this. I didn't see any of the angled brackets. So I'm just gonna try to do it on the flat part and try to not make it touch the other intercooler. And then when this is buttoned up to the bumper, it should be like this. As long as these don't hit or kind of rub on each other, I think we should be okay. So here is the oil cooler. Unfortunately, it's kind of angled and touching the intercooler. This will sit up when the bumper's on. I need to just move this out a little bit and then we can keep going. So the next step was to put on the oil cooler, and what I did is I have 1 bolt in here and I have 2 in here. 1 is spaced, just the bolt I put with some washers and electrical tape, just to kind of have it sit a little farther up. Now this won't sag as much when the bumper's on, and there is clearance here now. So it works out. We might have to revisit that in the future, but the oil cooler is on. So this here is the MyGenius programming device. This is how you load tunes onto the car. Now, if you have the RR Racing tune and no supercharger, you would have used this already, just like I have. When I got the car, I didn't get one with it. Each of these are locked to the car, I think, has a unique ID. So we're gonna program this one to the car. Of course, it'll just know what tune is on there now, which is the RR Racing tune. I don't have the stock tune, but we could always get that if we need. And what we have to do for this supercharger install is plug this in, update it, and then get the unique ID for the car, send it to RR Racing so they can send me a tune for the supercharger. Right now I have the tune for the headers and everything else I have, but I don't have the supercharger tune, it's different. So that's what we're gonna need. So let's plug this into the computer, get it set up, get the ID, email RR Racing, and then we'll at least be good to go on this front. We just need to go to this URL and then we can download the software for this. So what this does, it just downloads the MyGenius client for PC. They just set up a little tiny URL site, and that's what it gives you. So now the software is installing after we've downloaded it. We'll download this Windows feature that it says I need. So we'll just wait for that to finish just so everything works properly. So the Windows update's finished, and now it looks like we should be able to launch the client. We're gonna accept the terms and conditions. We will attempt to update our software. So we're getting a new version of the MyGenius client. Possibly, I'm not quite sure. That's what it looks like it's doing. So we'll let it do that. It might be that this software that we downloaded was a little bit out of date. So we'll let that update. We have our MyGenius connected. We're gonna open this, initializing communication. Looks like it wants to do an update. There's a lot of updates going on here. It says USB communication activated now, which is a really good sign. So I think something is finally happening. And another update completed, doing the same thing it did before, initializing communication. So now it's going through a reboot of this actual device. And once we're updated, we should be able to do what we got to do. So now we're all updated. I looked at the instructions again. We just have to plug this into the OBD port and follow the instructions, and we can get the ID, be able to send them my ID file, and they can send me the proper tune that we'll be able to load on this. So let's do that next in the car. I reconnected the battery, and now we have the screen here. We go to work, Lexus IS350. That's a chassis code. And then we want to go to 350 identification ECU. So once that identifies the ECU, we'll have everything we need. Switch off the dashboard to continue. Okay, we switched off the car. Task successfully completed. I think we have the file we need now, so let's go plug this into the computer, and that's what we can email RR Racing. All right, now that we did what we had to at the car, we can plug this into the computer. We're going to minimize the directions, open the client, and we should be able to grab the file we need.
Everything was updated and I plugged it into the computer. I was able to use the MyGenius download to get the file off of the MyGenius device. It let me select a location, and then I saved it, double checked, there's the file, and that's what I emailed to tuning@rrracing.com, and hopefully we'll get a new Supercharger tune in a day or two.
That's all we have time for today. I'm pretty sweaty and dirty and tired, so we'll continue this probably tomorrow, and so there'll be a second video on it. There's some things I need to figure out, maybe contact RR Racing about, but so far so good. It's just gonna take a little bit of extra time, and it's just, I wanna do this right, so I'm taking my time. But definitely drop a comment in the comment section below. What do you think of the process so far? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and follow along with this Supercharger build. Definitely tune in for the next one. I'm just filming this as I can and putting videos out, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and keep those wheels turning.